Welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today we're here to remind you to live your life any fucking way you want.
Woo!
Unless it means eating people.
It worked for Jeffrey Dahmer.
If they're already dead, it's okay.
Yeah,
Listeners,
who
if
cares?
you can't
They're dead.
tell.
Who cares? They don't care. They're dead. Why would they care what happens to their own body? They have no opinion. They're dead. They're just dead.
On this week, things that Cody loves and hates.
Dead.
So, if you guys can't tell already, we're joined by returning champion, Eryn, the man poop of McGarry, and her friend, director in a project she's working on, Jesse Livingston, from the movie coming out soon, The Blue Room.
Hello.
So, how's it going, guys? Nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, fun, chill, and Sue. Maybe some more Zach Baggins talk.
Bagans.
Baggins! That's how I remember his name,
Zach
is
Baggins.
Baggins. That's
Don't
how
talk
I remember.
about my
Like
man
Frodo
that way.
Baggins.
I'm sorry. That's
He's-
the only way I remember his name, is Baggins. I have to, connect it with something I know already.
If you're listening, Zach, I
good.
have the wedding planned.
He's a
His
hog.
heart is still broken from last time.
Yeah.
He was like, never again.
Or how much we trashed him talking about grave encounters.
I still stand behind as an awesome movie.
Like,
I
it
kind
is
of like
great
the movie.
movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
Zach Baggins.
Baggins.
If you still like us, you can be our friend. So, yeah, we're here to talk about the Blue Room today. Normally we have something we talk about with the news or something going on. But because we're somewhat on a time crunch, we're just going to jump right into it. So, the Blue Room. What is the Blue Room, Jesse?
The Blue Room is a short-ish horror film that we are, actually finished filming and currently in post-production. And we are planning to submit it to the Telluride Horror Show this year.
Right.
That was kind of the whole reason that we started making it. As my friend Michael Prince, who's our producer, basically, he said, "Hey, we should do a short film and submit it to Telluride," and so we actually did, which is kind of crazy.
Usually it's always just like an idea. You're like, oh, we should do this.
Yeah.
And it never happens.
The festival passes and you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Maybe
At a
next
time.
year.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was like the impetus behind actually making the film, but it kind of turned into more than we really thought it was going to be. Like, Michael probably was thinking like a 5-minute short or something, and it's turning into like a half-hour film,
Oh, nice.
which is cool. And we were able to get some amazing actors. We got an amazing location to shoot at, and everything's looking really good. So, yeah, I can tell you just briefly kind of what it's about.
Yeah,
without
that's
spoilers.
actually.
I was gonna say,
How
what's
did you
the
know what our next question was
Right.
going to be?
What's the synopsis if
Yeah.
you're allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. So it's about a guy named David Chen who works in a research facility. He's like the night security manager, and so he's basically the only guy in the building at night, and just kind of wanders around. He's really bored, and so he talks to one of the scientists over an intercom in his office, just kind of like teasing him, bullshitting with him,
Right.
and slowly things start to get weird, and things start to close in on him, and weird shit is happening.
Okay, cool.
That's when things start to become more macabre.
Right.
More scary.
Yeah.
Our whole group is like very inspired by David Lynch.
Yeah.
So it's got
nice.
that kind of surreal.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
how we all met, actually. Was
Really?
Michael put together a Twin Peaks viewing party when the new season of Twin Peaks came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron's already smiling.
Right. Well, Aaron's seen Twin Peaks more times than like maybe anybody in the world. How many times?
I've seen the first 2 seasons 15 times. I mean, I've never counted, but at least 15.
More times than David Lynch, for sure.
She's missing out a couple zeros on that.
Yeah.
She's trying to be modest.
Yeah. But that's how we all got to know each other, and yeah, we just all hit it off, and we actually started a writing group kind of after Twin Peaks ended, and that kind of morphed into this film.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
spend a lot of time together.
So was it that Eryn just was at the same party as you, and you guys just like met each other, and that's how you got connected?
And then Michael, there's like 4 of us that we all got like tattooed together, and
Yeah.
Okay.
we're
Cool.
So it's really like tight knit, like close.
Yeah, we all got Twin Peaks tattoos when the season ended.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
I think I saw that like on, I think it was on your Facebook or your like Snapchat that you said.
Yeah. I never get to look at it because it's on my neck. So I was like, oh, it's so pretty.
Look at you.
I bet it looks great.
Probably.
So then, where did the inspiration for this movie come from?
Well, so I originally wrote a different script. Michael was just like, hey, you should write it. And I was like, okay. So I wrote a different script, and it was more complicated. It had like 3 different locations and maybe like 15 actors.
Right.
And so we met with our cinematographer, Jesse Johnson, who was a friend of mine, and he's worked on films before, and he was like, yeah, this is doable, but it's going to be pretty intense, so you might want to scale it back a little. So I went back home that weekend and wrote a script that was 2 characters, only one appears on screen,
Right.
and 1 location. So the actual inspiration, oddly enough, came from I was taking out my trash
Right.
at my apartment.
Every good story starts.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how Michael Bay got the inspiration for the Transformers.
Yeah.
Garbage.
I read
Yeah,
that.
he was garbage. He threw it in a dumpster and just heard a glass bottle break. Movie.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I want to look like this. So yeah, it was. Someone had thrown away like this big wooden playing card. 2 of them actually,
Okay.
and one of them was like the Ace of Diamonds or something. The other was the 6 of Spades, and I was like, wow, these are crazy. Like I don't know where they came from, what they were for. Probably just for hanging on your wall. Like. So I brought them back inside my apartment. I was like, I should do something with these, and they were just kind of sitting there for a while. So when I was trying to think of like a new idea for this like more scaled down script,
Right.
I was like just trying to think of. I already had the idea of a guy sitting in a room talking on an intercom to somebody else, because like that'll be relatively easy to film.
Yeah.
I was like, I had to figure out like what was going on around him, like why these 2 people are talking to each other. And why it will be scary, obviously. So I just had this like flash of an image of like this weird creature standing behind him holding this huge playing card, and this voice saying, "Is this your card?" And that was pretty much it. That final image didn't make it into the film.
The image that
Yeah.
like inspired you didn't even make it into the movie.
No, not exactly, but it sort of like mutated a little bit, and all those elements are still in there. Yeah.
I just have to say, he's like, Jesse's an insanely talented writer.
Thanks.
Okay.
Like, he's all modest and shit, but
Aw.
Erin's like, I'll talk you up. Don't worry. I got
If
this.
it helps you feel
yeah.
better, she never compliments us on the show.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She only does it from, behind her phone. On Facebook, which is nice, thank you.
Check these guys out. They're so awesome. Then we're in person. She's like, I fucking hate you guys.
it's crazy though, because I don't know a lot of people that can literally go home and write a script that's
Right.
actually good and not just like,
Yeah, it came to me really fast. It was kind of weird. It was like
it's all meant to happen.
one of those things, yeah, like where it just, it was like meant to be or something.
We've had a lot of weird stuff happen, like
Oh, really?
throughout
There's
the filming.
some weird coincidences for
Yeah.
sure.
What has happened that's been so like...
Um,
or I guess what's your most favorite weird thing that's happened?
Okay, so favorite. Well, I'll give you 2. One of them is, so the main character, David Chen, is named after one of my favorite podcasters, the Slash Filmcast. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So yeah, he's he's the host of the Slash Filmcast, or one of the hosts, and so we we're looking like really hardcore for a Chinese actor, and having a terrible time finding one. And so I ended up emailing this woman that I had talked to years ago, who runs a theater troupe, and asked her, and she sent him to us, and so we had auditions, and we were like, oh man, I really hope this guy is good, because we don't have a lot of people.
He better be good.
And he was so nice. He was like, after the audition, he's like, if you guys need other people to audition, I can send some other actors your way. And we were like, yeah, that'd be great. And secretly we're thinking, no man, you got the part, like you're amazing. So we were like really like hoping he would say yes, and he did. But then we at the end of that day, I was just looking at Twitter, And I was like, oh shit, it's the real David Chen's birthday today. It's kind of weird. And then like a string of other coincidences happened after that. And like I was house sitting at this house in Cap Hill and like working on getting the props together for the movie. And I was like walking back to the house and I saw the people next door had a sign. Their family name is Keller, which is one of the characters in the movie.
Right.
Yeah, it was just like
Bunch of weird little stuff.
strange things kept happening. Nothing like super creepy or anything, but yeah.
The actor's name too is Michael Chen.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Like
another-
we were all sitting there like,
Yeah.
how are we going to find this actor? We're like, we're all together, and all of a sudden Jesse gets the email.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Hey, my
"Isn't
name's
that
Michael Chen."
Like,
Like,
this has to like.
Hey, guess what?
you're playing a David Chen.
Really challenging role for you. But speaking of challenging, so for both of you two, what have been some like obstacles or challenges that you guys have faced during the making of this movie?
Location scouting is really hard because, I mean, to film in so many places, if you don't know somebody, it's like it can be
Yeah.
like $1,000 for the day, and that's just to use some shitty old basement.
Right.
Yeah.
We like scouted a lot, and we found my friend's work was perfect, so we got lucky there.
You got like
but-
the best location
Yeah,
imaginable. Like it's a construction supply building, right?
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really know what she does there.
Yeah, I just kind of showed up and I was like, this works.
It's also haunted. We ghost hunt there, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Code 3, plug.
It's called Conservation Construction. So I think they do like windows and siding and maybe other stuff as well.
Right.
And she was just so nice and said, basically, you guys can come shoot here whenever you want for free. The location was perfect for the different like parts of the facility that we wanted to show.
Right.
So there was like Chen's office. There was like this really like big area with a desk and a computer, and it was really easy to like get all the lights and camera in there, so we could make it look like a smaller office, but it was like super easy to work in.
Yeah.
And then there's like this back room with all these like crazy doors and file cabinets and storage rooms, and yeah, so it was just basically exactly what we needed.
But had we not been able to like if Tracy didn't let us go in there, like it's insane to be able to find anywhere to film.
Yeah.
That's not, an arm and a leg. So
Yeah.
on my end of just like production stuff, that was definitely the hardest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like if you have to go back and do any reshoots or like pick up other shots, you would have to like pay extra to if you're using a regular location. But she was just like, yeah, come in whenever you want, and
Right on.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
amazing. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so we talked about challenges, we talked about inspiration, we talked about the process. So, both for you individually, what have your guys' experiences been with this? Because, admittedly, this is an indie film. It's a low-budget film.
Mm-hmm.
So, for you, because this is your image, this is what you're wanting to make.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what has been your experience, like, with making this? Has there been parts where you've been let down or something you wish you've done better? I know, because for us, we're our worst critics. We don't know if you share the same feeling in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm like, I never feel satisfied with anything that I do. So, yeah. Actually, so I'm editing the film right now, and because our cinematographer, Jesse Johnson, is just really good. Like, he has a great eye. He knows exactly how to frame everything. It's actually looking like better than I thought it would. So
Yeah.
I feel really good about that. But yeah, we were definitely like rushed. Like we would like go film on a day, and like I would not have planned out the number of shots correctly, or like, because I don't really have experience with how long things are going to take. So we would always have like several shots at least that we hadn't got by the end of the day. So I felt kind of like scrambling a lot of the time to get everything done, and I wished I had more time to kind of like experiment with things and stuff. But
Right.
the impression I get is that's just kind of the way it goes with film shoots. So yeah, I think generally I'm really happy with how it's turning out.
And there was like, there was no like set issues, and really, I mean,
we just got
nothing really went wrong.
We got so lucky, yeah. Like, so the secret that I found is just an intense amount of planning. So, like, leading up to shooting, Jesse and I did music video for the band I'm in first before we shot this.
The Far Stairs, check them out.
Yeah. Thank you. And we did that, I guess, last year. And so that was just a super simple concept.
Yeah.
Where we shot it all, like, in a car, basically. So, yeah, what I learned from that was just, like, obsessively plan everything, like, up to the day of the shoot, and then just hope everything goes okay. And it actually has so far. So I think planning is the main, like, key that I've discovered.
And we were lucky, too, because, like, there was a lot of, I guess, arms and legs in our group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, there's... Especially the first day, there was a significant amount of us there.
Yeah.
And everybody, like, brought different things. We had someone on makeup. We had someone that would run out and get if we ran out of something or needed something. So,
yeah, we were just really lucky to have, like,
Yeah.
a big group of friends that were willing to help us out.
not get paid.
For free. Yeah. Like, we had Morgan Shafto did our, like, creature makeup. Sarah Sackett did our, like, makeup for the actors. And these are just people that we're friends with, and they just know how to do this stuff. And, yeah, we just had people volunteering to help out on set, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw your, it was like a quick, I think it was actually from Eryn on her Snapchat, like, she sent, like, a quick video of, like, the monster's mask, and that was, like, actually really impressive, like, because, not gonna lie, it looks like it's just like a mask, and it has no movable parts, and when I actually saw him moving, and it was pretty impressive, especially for an indie film, like, right on.
You start seeing a movie, you're like, oh, that's cool. Go!
Nice, yeah.
The Krampus costume.
That was actually, that costume was put together by our friend Melissa, who owns Hooked on Colfax. Do you know that coffee shop?
Yeah.
Okay.
We lived there.
That's where our Twin Peaks viewing parties were, in the basement there. And she had put together this monster costume for, like, a event that they did, so people could get their picture taken with. It was supposed to be Krampus. It was like a Christmas party kind of thing, and people get their picture taken with Krampus. And I actually played Krampus that night. Yeah, and then our art director Kenton took over. Kenton Visser, who's an amazing artist that did our poster for us and, like, did the paintings that are in the movie. And he played Krampus also that night. And was, like, apparently, like, running down Colfax in this monster costume, like, scaring people. I wasn't there for that part, but yeah, she put. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, none. That was nothing.
She put together this amazing monster costume from different pieces, like a gorilla costume and something else. And yeah, so we were like, hey, can we use that in the movie? She's like, yeah, of course. Just make it look cool and scary. So, yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
That's why I was geeking, because I love Krampus. So, like, this whole thing, I was like, man, I want to run down the street, like, dressed as Krampus. That's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing for your birthday next year.
Oh, yes.
Actually, so I just, like, a side note, so I helped them, my friends who just bought Life for the Party, like, I helped them move all their Halloween stuff. And like, oh yeah, we were thinking of you, and so we're ordering a whole entire Krampus thing. You have first dibs when it gets in. I was like, fucking right, I do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what about you, Eryn? What has been, like, the experience for you on this? Like, something that maybe, like, has helped you improve, maybe your own creative process in a way.
Huh. It's one of those things, like, everything just went so smoothly
Right.
that, like, I didn't really have to do a lot of problem solving in that aspect, and, like, everybody was just, like, I mean, the best advice I would have for anybody is just have a solid team of, like, reliable people, because if you have a bunch of flaky people that are like, oh, yeah, I can't make it, then it's like, shut the fuck up and get off, like, you're off the film.
Yeah.
And I'm already so insanely anal and crazy about things anyway that you give me things to plan or, like, give me a homework assignment, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, let's get shit done.
So you didn't have that, did you? You didn't have people that you had to, like, kick off the project?
No.
So it probably helps that you guys are very, like, close-knit, already know each other, and, like, what to expect from each other. Yeah. So, like, then I'm guessing, like, there's probably, like, no tension throughout of it either.
No, we were lucky. I know, because it's hard, like, on film sets, I know, like, when I was filming the thing for Netflix, like even like the camera guys and stuff were like getting super snappy with each other, and I'm like, and the director would like yell at somebody, and it was just like, just in that few hours, I was like super uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Oh well, I'm sure I'm allowed to say it.
Cut it out.
Yeah, they'll just cut you out later if they hear about it.
Like, if they have a big enough deal to reach out to us, and we'll say we don't know any Eryn's. We had someone called the Mad Pooper come on.
We don't know her real name.
We don't really think.
But no, that was intense, and they were fine. But it was just, and they weren't like actually fighting. But people get really like
passive aggressive.
It's understandable though, because like it's really stressful when you're actually filming because you're trying to get every shot done like as quickly as you can.
Yeah,
it's like we just happen to have like a really good team of people. So
we're at the 10-minute mark before we get to when the movie is going to come out and where people can go check it out. One other question we had for you guys was there a scene that you can talk about that you're really excited for everyone to see in this movie? I know it's a 30-minute film, so there's it's a short film, but is there one that you're able to talk about?
Do you have one in mind?
You don't have to. It's
Well, I
okay.
was
It's
gonna
alright.
say,
It could be like a little bit of a spoiler if you want.
I get to die, kind of. So that's cool. That's,
Yes!
that's been on my
Sweet.
bucket list my entire life.
I want to die.
I want to just. It's still on my bucket list to get like fucking slaughtered in a movie, like where I'm just like bleeding out and covered in blood and shit. But
I want that.
I got to.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would love that. I would
Right?
love to
Like,
see
it'd
it
be
before
so fun.
someone
Like,
rips off my head.
Someone just walks up to me and is like, "You want to be in the next Friday the 13th movie? We're gonna like slaughter the shit out of you, but you want to be in it?" Yes.
I think that's every horror nerd's dream.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like, "Hi, Mr. Hodder. Hi, how's it going? I'm gonna rip your face off today." Yes.
oh my god, if I had Kane Hodder kill me,
No, we know. We've seen him choke you. So
that was fun.
So I don't have like a specific scene, but I'm just really excited because we got two amazing actors who have really good chemistry and like banter back and forth.
Right.
Michael Chen and Nick Ellingson. And they're just like really good, really entertaining to listen to, like because there's like jokes and stuff in the movie, and they're like really nailing it. And so I just want people to see how good they are.
And they're
Right
super
on.
great in real life too. Like they're the
Are they?
nicest, like fun, laid back.
Nice.
We
Is
got
it-
so lucky.
Yeah, we really
It's always
did.
nice when you can like meet people that like you admire or behind like a screen or something like that, and they're actually like very nice in real life because the ego does go to a lot of people's heads.
Yeah, it does.
I generally have people carry a rad carpet around for me.
Spray the air before you walk through it.
My name is Monteo Lopez. So I mean, this is like really exciting, and like we're really humbled that you're willing to come on here and talk about this.
Not at all.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's been good.
obviously because we're a horror podcast.
Yeah, well, this is actually perfect because we, punk rock horror, like our approach is totally like DIY. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
none of us really know what we're doing. Like, we've never done this before. Jesse Johnson went to film school. That's our only like
That's
connection.
only like official, like kind of like stable
Right.
we have.
Yeah, we're all just like, make a movie. It can't be that hard, right? And, it's
I
just,
think Michael
like-
Chen got his degree in theater performance too.
oh yeah,
Nice.
the actors are total
Yeah.
pros.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I
they're
meant
pros.
like the
Yeah, none of
The
us had
technical
any
kind of
idea.
stuff.
Yeah,
None.
Eryn.
Yeah.
I had none.
So one question I did remember that I forgot to ask was, how did you get brought on this, Eryn? Because I know I did mention that you guys just met at a party and you clicked there, but did like Jesse just call you up and be like, I need someone on here that I can trust, or how did you get on it?
Well, like we meet every Sunday, and we meet Thursdays usually as well,
Okay.
and for our writing group. And since we were all like just, and he came up with the script,
It
and
just developed kind of organically. Like we
Nice.
all,
So you're just like, hey, want to make a movie?
yeah.
yeah, that's literally like, all right, let's
Yeah.
do this. And then I was like, all right, what are we good at? And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm good at organizing. I'm good at like getting people to follow through with shit. Sarah's good at like creative makeup. Michael's good at this, and
Yeah, without Michael, it never would have happened. Like,
Yeah.
Michael Prince, not Michael Chen.
To be, clear.
Yeah, Michael Prince is one of the original organizers of Comic-Con in Denver, and he runs an imprint called Cellar Door Books, where they do like zines and literary journals and things like that,
Right.
which is really cool.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's great. And so he was like, I never would have thought to do this without him. He was just like really encouraging every step of the way. He's like, all right, what's the next thing we do? What's the next thing we do? And yeah, so
he's great. He's really good at coming up with ideas and different like creative ways that we can go about doing something. And
it's good to have little bits and pieces that everyone needs to complete the whole chemistry so the project succeeds. And it sounds like you guys got that in, boatloads with your actors who can read off each other, with your technical side of everything where everyone knows what they're doing. Yeah. With Eryn cracking the whip.
Yeah.
They wouldn't electrocute me though. They wouldn't tase me. I'm still upset about that.
Yeah, Eryn really wanted to get tased. And we were like,
I'm going to tell you right now, it's as bad as you think it is.
Yes!
I volunteered to get tased.
Someone will tase him.
It was for a taser training course when I was a security guard one lifetime
I guess that's
ago.
a legit.
I will tell you this right now. Quick sidebar. I was tired the whole training. I was just I did not sleep well. I was falling asleep there. So I volunteered to get tased. They gave me a dry bite on my arm. Right? Woke me up for the rest of the time. And then the instructor, which I don't think he was kidding, is like, if I see anyone fall asleep, I'm going to come by and give you a dry bite. I'm just
God.
Well, that's a way to keep your students active. Oh, you're falling asleep?
It seems so dangerous. What don't people have heart conditions and die from that kind of shit?
But at that point, the taser, because it's security, you have to use it at your own discretion. So if you have someone who's out of control and throwing stuff around, you just have to make the call. And there's areas where you should hit. They'll give you a diagram where you should hit. Generally, you want to hit in the back if you're dealing with a bigger dude, because if you just hit his fat, he's just gonna be
that's how you get the Frankenstein.
You ever see that YouTube video with that dude who's getting tased by the cops? And he's like, "I'm gonna get you, bitch." That's because they tased him on his fat. He's just like, okay. "I'm gonna get you."
Yeah, it's better than shooting people, obviously. Yeah. Anyway.
Just aim for the crotch.
Cap him.
Right. I just have to say it is so crazy that all this came together, because it was probably almost 2 years, a year and a half ago. I was at the Alamo just to see Twin Peaks, and Michael was there. And I was like, oh shit, there's other people that like Twin Peaks as much as I do. And it's if I had not gone to that screening that night, I would have probably, maybe I would have heard about it at some point on Facebook, but
at the right time, right?
It's so crazy. And then we all just ended up at the Twin Peaks party, and then
basically fate.
It's so weird.
If you want to give it a name, basically fate, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, when can we expect this movie to come out, and where can people check it out?
Well, we're shooting for an August 15th deadline. That's the submission deadline for Telluride. But then they have a late submission deadline of September 15th. It's really hard to say right now whether we're going to hit that first deadline. It all depends on how long the sound mixing takes and how long it takes me to finish the edit. So we're going to do screenings as soon as we can. So probably September. I'm going to say September for the screenings.
And even if we hit that later date, of course we want it. If we have that later option, we want it to be the best that it can be, rather than just trying to crunch it and get something.
Yeah. So I would say September. September to October, right? Right in there is when we're gonna have screenings around town and really try and get people to see it.
Cool.
Right, and for our listeners in our other states and other parts of the world, is this going to be on your Facebook, on your website, or?
Yeah, we're gonna put it up as many places as we can. Put it on. I have to do research on the streaming services we want to use, but I'm imagining we'll do YouTube and Vimeo and places like that.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll definitely just let you guys know as soon as we have a place that people can watch it.
Right, and we'll include the links to where you want people to keep up with it, so they can know and be notified when it's out in these episode notes for this episode below.
There is a website we have now that you can go to and get updates and stuff.
What's the name of that website?
It is blueroomhorrorfilm.com.
Got it. Cool. Yeah. Blueroomhorrorfilm.com.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we're now hitting the end of this interview, and I'm about to go on to our next topic. We can take a quick break. Before then, if you guys like.
I'm good.
I'm
Let's
good.
keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling. All right, so listeners, if you've been following us on Twitter, in our Facebooks, you would know that today we are talking about indie films in general, which is why we're so humbled to be graced by the presence of Jesse and Eryn, working on an independent film, coincidentally enough. So we're going to go ahead and pull up our Twitters and our Facebooks for our listener participation.
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Eryn.
Relax. We're taking care of it, all right? We're taking care of it. So, to start it off, definition of an independent film and an independent movie, or indie film, or even an indie movie, is a feature film that is produced outside the major film studio system, in addition to being produced and distributed by independent entertainment companies. Independent films are sometimes distinguishable by their content and style and the way in which filmmakers' personal artistic vision is realized. Usually, but not always, independent films are made with considerably lower budgets than major studio films. I mean, money is just an object anyways.
Did
So
you know 144 people saw our post about this interview?
good.
That's fucking crazy.
I know, right? That's not far.
Sorry, I saw it showed how many people. I was like, holy shit.
So, for our listener participation corner, all of you that have participated, we asked all of you what are some of your favorite indie horror films and why you love them. On Twitter, from Art of the Crow, he said, I would say it's a tie between Tucker and Dale vs. Evil and the ABC's Death. They're both unique in their own right. One is a horror comedy, while the other is turning the alphabet into short horror clips, then mashing it into one whole film.
That one's cool, those ones.
So
Some of them are, it's definitely a lot of hit or misses for me on
that's
that
what
one.
I hear.
I like the
still wanna
idea
watch
of it, though, that all
Yeah,
these
the
different
idea is-
filmmakers come together
Yeah.
and, like...
I still need to finish the second one because it's so long.
The Soska sisters are on there, though. Yay!
So long, no. Oh
And then
my
for
God.
our returning champion on Twitter, Anna, at Anna Keeson, she said no words necessary, following with a gif of Michael Myers. So I'm guessing she is saying the Halloween movies, or one of them. So
But do
They
those...
weren't independent.
I thought, isn't the first one?
I don't think
No.
so.
Really?
I
John Carpenter.
Oh, great. Now we gotta do research on it.
Yeah, it's hard
While
to
Eryn is reaching that.
It's kind of hard to say because like someone's first movie. I don't know if that was his first movie, but like
kind of what brought him on the
if
market.
it's somebody's first movie and they don't know if they're going to get distribution when they're making it,
Yeah.
that's kind of indie. Like
the only reason why I wouldn't think it'd technically be an independent film is because it got
It is an
released.
independent film.
Is it really?
I mean, in the description it says Halloween is one of the most successful independent films of all
Yeah.
time.
Huh.
So I guess technically,
So-
All right,
Got
Anna,
us.
I guess we'll eat our words. Or I'll eat
their
them.
budget was $300,000,
oh wow,
and it
Wow.
grossed $47 million.
So it sank. It totally died. It did not do
Yeah.
good.
Horrible.
Damn, that makes me think like if the first Saw was an independent film.
It
It was
is.
like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then
It's
it
like-
becomes franchised when
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
realize like, oh, there's a money opportunity here.
What
Yeah.
people
And
have
then
morbid
torture.
curiosities?
People like torture porn.
Yes.
So, and then on our Facebook, we have Troy again. Love
Oh,
Troy.
God.
Mackie.
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 I hate you, Mackie. Just kidding. I love you.
She really meant the first one. He said, the town that dreaded sundown. Not sure it's an independent, though. Basically, anything Eryn is playing a role. So I'm guessing not playing a role.
Mackie,
Oh, no, I like
learn
his
to
no
type.
playing a role.
Yeah.
There's no playing roles.
No playing role.
No play role. Now. Mackie hungry. Mackie eat.
That about sums him up. Love you.
And then Lauren, she said definitely the 1922 version of Nosferatu, and then Black Swan and Insidious.
Oh, Insidious, yes.
Yeah, dude, that was.
Oh, girl.
So amazing. She went into descriptions of them. Nosferatu because it's a silent horror flick. Plus, it had amazing makeup for its time. Black Swan because it was the first horror film she saw that involved dancing and where the main character literally turns into a swan, quote unquote.
I mean, it is true to be fair.
Yeah. Natalie Portman, she's a pretty swan. And last but not least, Insidious because the movie scared the overall shit out of her.
Because it's
And
awesome.
And it made her fall in love with Tiny Tim and his music, especially since one song is on SpongeBob.
What?
Yeah. It's like in the very first episode.
The same song?
What?
Yeah.
Tiptoe?
Yeah. No, not Tiptoe.
Or
A
not
Tiny
Tiptoe.
Tim song.
Okay.
Like, it's when he's making the Krabby Patties for all, like, the little, what is it, the...
Oh
God, what is that?
The
Like,
anchovies.
Anchovies, yeah. The little
Yeah,
anchovies.
when he's like whipping them out all the anchovies.
Yeah, that's a Tiny
Tim.
Tim song. For
I
me.
love
Yeah.
SpongeBob so much.
Eryn said she's so excited.
If only she was here.
Oh, I have one though, really quick. It's a super independent. I think, was it you that it's called The Jester?
Is it called The Blue Room?
That too, but there's one other like short film on YouTube, and I'm sure it's other places, but it's called The Jester.
It's really good.
It's so disturbing.
You
and
can look
it's
it up
so
on
good.
YouTube. It's
Yeah.
great.
Sounds
I'll have to
familiar.
check it out.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're both just thinking clown.
No,
It
I know
did
I'm
really
not
well,
being
and it's kind of like ours. There's only like a couple actors, and it's like 10,
Right.
15 minutes long, and it's
Okay.
super good.
Yeah, we'll have to
Nice.
check it out. And then James said he would have to go with the Evil Dead trilogy because of the use of practical effects, the
I like
original Blair Witch Project because of the sense of realism it gave, and the 1964 is The Mask of the Red Death because it combined Edgar Allan Poe
And
with Vincent Price.
Oh, so good.
Have you seen that one?
Yes,
Oh, I gotta see that.
it's so good.
So,
I own a bunch of them.
as we can see from our listeners, people who have participated in Participation Corner, which you have all earned your trophy for participating, the only trophy for participating that is worth it.
Yeah.
That, you know,
Spit
kind of
shine those
something
trophies. Spit shine them.
that we kind of talked about in this podcast before is that we tend to like gravitate more indie horror films, you know, because they tend to be better. And so to kind of like go off a PowerPoint on that is in 1908, the Motion Picture Patents Company, or Edison Trust, was formed as a trust. The trust was a cartel that held a monopoly on film production and distribution, comprising all the major film companies of the time: Edison, Biograph, Vitagraph, Asane, Slag, and Sealg, and more others than that. The leading distributor, George Klein, and the biggest supplier of raw film, Eastman Kodak. A number of filmmakers did decline to join or were refused into the trust and came to be described as independent. So basically, indie films, indie directors basically decided to do the most punk rock thing and be like, fuck it, we're just gonna make it anyways.
Yeah, we'll make our
Fuck major
own
films.
movies.
And so let's go off that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why in a lot of cases
Let's
do it.
let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about why in a lot of cases horror films tend to get more praise when they're not part of a major film company. Why do you guys think so? First and foremost, Jesse and Eryn.
Oh, I mean, okay, so if you look at any of the major like serial killers, like, you know, Jason and Freddy and Chucky, all the original movies were really good.
Yeah.
Like all the first ones, and those like weren't franchised yet, and they didn't have greedy money paws in them, and it was truly just from like an artistic vision. But then as they go on and they become part of the franchise, I mean, each Nightmare on Elm Street, besides the third one, gets more and more ridiculous, and I love them. And same with Child's Play and all that. But they get way more campy rather than scary as they go along, or just...
Yeah, like if someone has a really original idea of like, I think this will be really scary, then that tends to be like the best one of the series or whatever. So maybe that like makes people kind of feel like the new like low budget ones are like the most pure or like the most creative, or which is probably isn't always the case, but it's definitely like often true.
Yeah. Cody, what do you think?
I kind of think along those same lines. I think it's mostly because they have more freedom.
Yeah.
So it's like you can, and like even if like an independent film you don't really like it, or you don't feel like it's not very good, you still see like the directors and the actors and the writers, everyone a part of it, like are putting their heart and soul in this film.
Like
Yeah.
Evil Dead
So,
for sure.
Yeah, Evil
definitely.
Dead. I mean, even the first Saw film,
Even
like,
Halloween. Like
Halloween,
we just talked
yeah.
Nightmare on
And
Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street, like, even like the first Chucky, like when you really think about it, like the premise and everything for that original one, and then you could like look at the oh my god, I can't think of the word.
The companies.
No, the dispute about like how bad nobody wants the new remake and how everyone's excited about the ones that are coming out that are going to TV, because like the new remake's taking what made Chucky and that first film so great and then you're getting rid of it, While like when you see all independent films, like all those slasher films that started off, like you can consider them, since they're considered independent, like they were so good and so great, and then the big companies get their fingers in it, and like Eryn was saying, is like they get so much worse and campier. And then like when the main cast for Chucky got it back, like Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, all went back to like that original formula, and they're so good. So I think it's because you could see the heart and love in those films.
And I'd have to agree. I think it's freedom in general with any independent. And the reason I say that is because, and this adds in, going back to like when the Harry Potter films were huge, a lot of people got really mad at the last 2-parters, of the whole series. And I read, I don't remember who it was from, but I read an article basically, or I think it was like a talk they were having on TV, basically found out that the reason that, the filmmakers had to cut so much out is because you have these major companies are investing a lot of money, and the major companies get the last say, and if they feel that there's a scene that isn't going to really sell the movie, they're going to tell those filmmakers to keep it out, or else they'll cut off the cash flow, which then they have to stop making a movie. And so that's kind of like when we see book adaptations not really live up to the book, it's because
The Hobbit.
Yeah, The Hobbit,
Fan Four Stick,
Ready Player One, a lot. It's because major corporations are getting the final say, and so coming back into freedom, it's freedom that you get to see in these movies, and it's a shame because there's a lot of independent movies that still get overlooked, but are fantastic because these artists, these directors, these writers finally have all this creative freedom to do what they want, but they don't get that huge backing and the huge publicity from major companies that do it. And so that's why we're like glad to bring you guys on here and really promote this movie.
Yeah, I think that's another thing is that like horror is a genre that you can do well low budget. So like if someone just wants to make a movie like we did, there's like not a lot of barriers to be able to do that. And so I think that's why. So I forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay. Mike, a question I had is like, do you feel like there's an oversaturation of indie horror flicks? I mean, because I guess from my experience, I've seen like within a month, like 5 different like horror films come available on Netflix and are coming out to be viewed, and it's like it kind of feels like a sense like an oversaturation. Because it's like, I need to watch this one before this one, but this one sounds like it has a better plot than this one, and I'm not trying to discredit any sort of creator in any sort of way, but it just seems like there is a lot of oversaturation. So we could even probably blame the fact that maybe major companies aren't wanting to take interest in these horror films until recently with films like Get Out and stuff like that, which normally would have probably been indie flicks until companies are starting to see interested again. But yeah, coming back to
I was gonna just add on to that. I mean, think about it, like A Quiet Place. Yeah. Could you imagine like if like horror wasn't as big as it is right now? Like there's no way that would have had a big screen release, even if it was with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. Like there's even like since it was their passion project, there's no way they would have got big screen if it didn't do really well. Or Get Out didn't do really well.
And Annihilation did pretty well too.
Annihilation, but like I would give more credit to Get Out because like it broke that barrier of what conventional horror can be and stuff, and so like it went from very racial undertones in Get Out to like A Quiet Place, talking more about like opening people's eyes to like sign language and everything, like really making that known.
I would only disagree a little bit on the fact that I would give also credit to it because technically a lot of Stephen King movies are independent
and not very good.
Yeah, a lot of people do a lot of fact, and so the fact that the rehash of it like broke through, I think helped as well. But I do agree that like Get Out really broke the ceiling. Yeah, I think it helped skyrocket it though. But what do you guys think?
So I have a question. Studios like Blumhouse, would they be considered indie?
I don't know, because I debated that as well, because I don't know if they're considered a major film corporation or not.
I think they've got their hands in a lot of stuff. If you look at the beginning of a lot of movies, I think action now.
Yeah, I think on a technicality, no, because they've grown because of movies like Insidious, which I think they were.
And The Conjuring, Yeah, The Conjuring and that whole late 2000s horror era was Blumhouse. Any movie that came out that point
That
horror
was
movie.
Which both
worth
directed by
seeing.
James Wan.
I was
Yeah.
like, so that was worth seeing.
Yeah.
That came
Yeah.
out that time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, to be fair, Blumhouse does have his like duds. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically with any film company, really.
I love Blumhouse.
but they're like
They're
really
really good.
facilitating like
Horror.
low budget horror, especially like allowing new directors to get into the game because like, well, we can give you like a small budget and just see what happens,
Yeah.
and they have more creative control. As far as like whether it's oversaturated, I think probably yes, but everything is now.
exactly
Yeah.
everything, music,
Yeah.
writing.
We're definitely like, it's definitely different than the days when you had to like really search out low budget horror movies on like VHS or something.
Yeah. That was good old days.
Yeah.
And they
Right.
became like the cult classics. And
Yeah.
nowadays, I don't really know if we have modern cult classics.
No.
Well, to actually kind of like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was gonna say the thing about cult classics nowadays is that this was what I talked about way back in the beginning of the podcast was I went and saw Happy Death Day. Fucking hated it because the commercial, like the trailers and everything, make it seem like one thing, and then you go see it, it's like kind of campy and stuff like that. It's because I feel like a lot of production studios and everything right now are purposely making their movies as a cult classic. So
You can't do that.
Exactly. That's my biggest point is that they're making these movies that would specifically go for certain people, and they're getting all these big like silver screening productions like Happy Death Day. Like I heard a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I liked it," but then a lot of people's like, "It's a shit movie," and it's like, "Oh, now it's a cult classic like type thing."
Right.
Which, sorry, to add on what you're saying, like conceptually, like as a business decision on paper, like sounds like a good idea because it's an untapped demographic, which is cults, like not cults, but like cult followings.
Yeah.
That's an untapped demographic. The problem with it, though, with what I think you're getting at, is that cult movies have to build up their own cult following.
Yeah.
Like you can't just target
No,
one.
and that's what that's what I feel like a lot of modern horror movies that are what they're trying to do in a sense. Like instead of trying to appeal to the whole community and stuff like that, they're like, we're going to target those people and it'll be a classic for them, and then you're like
they're trying to be obscure
Yeah.
to get something out of it, not just trying to be obscure for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And one thing I have noticed is that as technology has gotten better and better, and you can make a really good looking movie with like a relatively inexpensive camera and edit it yourself and stuff. So it's like badly made movies are harder to like distinguish. So like I've started watching multiple indie horror movies on like Netflix or something and just kind of stopped halfway through. Like it looks really cool, but the story's just terrible or it's boring essentially.
That's how I felt with Stitches. Did you ever see
I love Stitches.
Okay, I saw the trailer and everything. I was like, this movie looks fucking nuts. I could not get through the first 10 minutes. I was like, it's boring as hell. And then I watched Clown and I was like, that's how you should have done it.
I haven't seen that one yet.
They all have drone footage at the beginning. I've noticed. Like if you see drone footage like flying over trees at the beginning, it's like okay.
There's a lot of that in the new Twin Peaks too.
But to be fair, though, Twin Peaks started it.
Yeah, they invented
let's
that.
just
Twin Peaks can
It's
do
just
no
a
wrong
dude
ever.
in a helicopter, actually.
Which that is like a super great example of a cult following.
Yeah.
Like that started out appealing to mainstream like on the TV, and then it got too weird, and frankly it took a little dip, and then people are like obsessed with it. If you either love it or you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Kind of like the Evil Dead movies.
Yeah.
Like even though like most people know what Evil Dead is, but then like it's either you love those movies or you just you hate them.
You're either gonna hate it or you're gonna love it. I love it.
I love it
it.
so
I
much.
love it.
Bruce Campbell, man.
Michael doesn't. He fucking hates the first Evil Dead so bad.
When it comes to Evil Dead, I don't recognize Michael as a friend. Everything else.
I was like, it's because the one scene that threw him off that he hated the entire movie for was when the chick stabs the dude in the ankle and it turns into putty and stuff like that to do the effect.
Yeah.
He is like, no, I draw the line there. He's like, I'm done.
That's the line.
That's the line for him.
Did you guys see the remake at all?
I love it.
I love the remake.
I never saw it.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Okay.
The ending is one
I
of the
own it
most
if you ever
metal
wanna borrow
endings
it.
to a
Yeah.
movie
It is.
in general.
Okay, the ending had to grow on me. I hated that ending so much when I first saw it.
I mean, I should say
So
the final
much.
kill. The final kill.
Yes.
When, she confronts the evil. It was so bad.
Yeah, and they're actually talking about making a sequel to it since Asher's Evil Dead isn't. Sadly, I know. Sadly,
Yeah, let's not bring that up so we don't start crying.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just binge watched the what they have on Netflix, and I was like, who isn't watching this?
I
Like,
haven't
So
seen
good.
season 3 yet, though.
Me neither.
Me neither.
I can't wait for it to come on Netflix.
yeah, my
Yeah.
mom actually texted me about Ash vs. the Evil Dead. She was like, "Hey, have you watched this yet? It's so bloody and funny."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's why you're my mom."
So our last couple points there. So in the 1990s saw the rise and success of a lot of independent films, not only through the film festival circuit, but at the box office as well. While established actors such as Bruce Willis, John Travolta, and Tim Robbins found success themselves both in independent films and Hollywood studio films, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 1990 from New Line Cinema grossed over $100 million in the United States, making it the most successful indie film in box office history
What?
to that point.
Yeah,
So-
because Ninja Turtles are fucking awesome.
So, horror films' evolution throughout the years has given society a new approach to resourcefully utilize their benefits. The horror film style has changed over time, but in 1996, Scream set off a chain of copycats, leading to a new variety of teenage horror movies. And the reason I wanted to put that in and bring it in is that you mentioned Saw earlier. You know, we all mentioned Saw earlier, how it became a franchise. So my personal opinion, and you guys can disagree with it, agree with it, we can talk about it, is that I feel like when an indie film does really well, they try to, instead of reinvent it and like help it grow, they keep trying to copycat the same things that made that first film strong and keep doing it and keep milking the cow till there's nothing to expect anymore.
Well, that's the
So-
problem.
And that's my opinion, is that I feel like that's kind of gives like somewhat of a bad image to indie horror films and maybe just horror in general, because like let's talk about Saw real quick, where what really made the first Saw great,
I still
the
love
fact that
all
you've
of
seen that much intensity with gore, you know, in a long time.
Actually, when you think about the first Saw movie, there really isn't that
There's
much
not
gore.
that much.
I know, but at the time, like, nobody's seen that. Nobody's seen that much intensity. And so because of
True.
that, like, it gave, you know, Eli Roth inspiration to Hostel. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I'm going to say it is. You know, to movies like Hostel, and then you see Saw, like, its whole franchise, like, you know, basically kind of get little worse and worse, and they have to keep kind of having more convoluted storylines in order to keep people guessing. So my question to you guys is, do you think that copycat movies ruin the original indie film?
I think that depends on how you look at it. Because, like I said before, I absolutely love, like, Bride of Chucky. I freaking love that movie.
Right.
And, like, I love most of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, but they get much less scary. As each one goes, it's sort of like you can tell they're just milking this, and, like, for every last drop of money that they can get. They're like, okay, well, the first movie did great, so obviously, and then they just need to stop. And I say that with TV shows. I say that with a lot of things. Sometimes it's best to just stop and leave it, like, before you start going down.
Because, like, with the Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like that's kind of like an odd one out of all the other movies, because they went with the twist. Like, you know, there was the first one where he was in the dreams and everything. And then the second one, it's him trying to come back to reality. You know, that whole twist where, like, the kid was actually possessed or was Freddy and blah, 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 that whole thing. And they saw how badly that was with a lot of viewers, so they went back to the old Freddy, and then they're just like, you know, with Dream Warriors.
It's the best.
And I agree. But they're like, but instead of like having him like straight up being a horror guy, like in the first one, they're like, okay, we need a new tack onto this, and they made him a little bit more, you know, quippy. Like had, especially Robert Englund, like improvising the whole "it's prime time, bitch," like that whole thing.
Oh, he said that to me in person. I almost cried.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we
You
got
don't
it.
have to keep rubbing it in.
I know. It's still just my favorite moment.
So that's what I think is different, like for the Nightmare on Elm Street, because they tried something new. Like most, you know, what you were trying to say is like they should, you know, with an independent film, when they have one really successful, what if they try something new, and then when it fails, it scares them off. Because like, I mean, honestly, look at M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, he was known as the twist guy, but he always did a new thing with a different movie. Like instead of like just bleeding off of The Sixth Sense, which is arguably one of his greatest movies, he tried something new. It's a whole different movie and stuff. Yes, like his twists get really
you know,
bad.
there's a twist coming the whole time you're watching. Like,
Look,
there's
we
a
can all
Shyamalan
agree
twist.
that Lady in the Water and Avatar were his worst movies.
I love Lady in the Water.
Really?
I cannot
hate
agree.
it.
I love
I
Lady
hate
in the
it.
Water.
We'll have a separate discussion.
I liked it up until, I don't know, there's just one point in the movie I was like, okay, I kind of like this, and then just it got to one point in the movie I'm just like, why do I even care? Like I just stopped caring. Just kind of like that the guy who goes to Mars, that like the worst Disney film technically ever.
The Martian.
John
Carter.
John Carter.
Goes to Mars.
John Carter. That's it.
John Carter Goes to Mars. Like, literally, you get into the movie. Like, I was super into the movie for like the first like 30 minutes of it, and then at some point, I'm just like, what's the point? I just don't care.
So I feel I want to wake up every day.
Like, it's gonna be a great day.
I'll give my quick 2 cents later. I think the biggest problem with it is it tries to be too convoluted for what it actually is. Because at some point, like, if you're not paying attention the whole time, like, you're gonna lose like the hints within the story of what the actual twist is.
I like that.
And so I get it. Like, for some people that's their thing, but for a lot of like people that isn't their thing. And so at some point I was just like, why is there a fucking bird now? I'm so confused. Like, they're made from vines. Is poison ivy part? Where's Batman?
So the only thing that the best part of the entire movie is it's the best part, and the part that pissed me off the most is how the wolf eats like the little troll dude. He's like this little nerdy guy with glasses. He's pissing on the like.
I don't even remember.
I just remember this scene because I was just like, he's a moron, and like, but he deserved to die. I think it's like his landlord or some shit.
Yeah.
And so he's standing in this hall, and then he sees this gigantic vine wolf, most menacing thing you're ever gonna see, and he's just like, I'm gonna evict him for this dog. And then he like turns around, and the wolf like just charges and eats him down the thing. And I was just like,
yeah,
dumbass.
But yeah, so continuing around the table. I mean, what do you think, Jesse?
So you're kind of asking if like the later sequels, if they ruin the original.
Yeah, if they make it less memorable. So if like Saw maybe even stopped at Saw 3, do you think the first Saw would be a lot more praised than what it is now?
Probably, yeah. I think there's a lot of people who say like, well, the series has just gotten so bad it ruined the original for me. I can't even watch it. I don't think it should ever be that way. Like, I think you should be able to like separate it out and just like see the original for what it was at the time. Yeah. So I understand when people say that, but I think it's more like a question of whether or not you can make that separation in your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also think when it comes to like, so if we use Twin Peaks for example, that has done successfully well for its cult following, and he's even brought new people in. But I think there's pressure within those cult followings that if they bring back a series or they bring back a movie, that there's so much pressure that it has to be just the same as what started it. That if it isn't, then it just immediately panned. If there's one thing wrong, like I feel like there's a lot of pressure that has to be on top of it.
Sorry, you got
Twin Peaks, the new one was nothing like the old one.
Oh no, I'm just saying like in general.
That's kind of a rare exception though.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say it real fast, like Rick and Morty, for instance. If the fourth season when it comes out isn't like near as like funny or like it deep as like all the shitty ass people who probably don't even really understand the shit because they're Jerry's,
quote unquote deep.
Yeah, is like if it's nowhere like if it's not even near as good as season 3, because I do agree season 3 is the best out of them all. Like, you know how much shit Dan Harmon's gonna get for it, even more so because he's in the news right now. But like, which is stupid. But like, I kind of agree. I kind of see how like the groups of the cult followings and everything like could totally ruin the possibility of like the new stuff coming out. It's kind of like directors trying to like because like the they're like, oh sweet, people want more of my stuff.
Yeah.
But if they don't like appeal to, because like it's like appealing to the masses. Instead, if they're not appealing straight to that group of followers and stuff like that, like they're like, oh shit, I just lost everyone that liked my movies and stuff like that. Kind of like with the Saw movies, like you could definitely tell it took a huge hit by Saw 5. Like Saw 5
a little bit
worse. But like you can tell it took a huge hit because they went away from the actual story and the point of like what the Saw movies were about, just loving life, to let's try and get this as bloody and gory as we could.
Yeah.
And it dropped a lot of fans, and they're all like, like me, for instance, like I'm a huge fan of the Saw franchise. I didn't even want to go see Jigsaw when it came out because I was like, oh.
Was that worth watching?
Yes, it is.
I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually.
I ended up buying it on Blu-ray and I watched it and I was like, see, this is what Saw 4 and 5
I
should
will
have been.
admit, there was one kill in that's a letdown and one that's kind of dumb, but like for the whole movie, it's actually really good.
And the ending lives up for. I know. I'm just saying.
We won't tell you what it is.
I'm not going to tell you what it is.
It takes it back to its roots.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's really fucking good.
Huh.
The whole twist is actually it's good. So I don't want to talk about it. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say again. Go ahead.
I was just touching on like how it's like cult followings are a blessing and a curse basically because they keep it alive and enough support will keep it coming back, but it's also a curse because if you change one small thing or you don't write something or produce something
for the fans
that they want, people that you can't talk to individually, figure out what they want.
That's what I was going to say.
With Twin Peaks,
nostalgia.
we ran into that.
Yeah, like so many studios are aiming for nostalgia. Like they want to like pull in this audience of people that loved this thing when they were kids.
Yeah,
I think that's really ruining storytelling original storytelling.
They're trying to bank on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which David Lynch, it's cool because he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just did whatever he fucking
And a lot of Twin Peaks fans didn't really care for the new season.
Right, yeah.
They were Twin Peaks fans and not David Lynch fans. If you were a David Lynch fan, then you probably appreciate the new Twin Peaks. But, I mean, people were bitching and bitching and bitching about it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the problem with cults, too, is that, like, it's becoming... Or well, maybe not cults, but like I feel like newcomers to cult followings is that it's like it's kind of like
liked it, and then the originals are like you.
Yeah,
it's like kind of this thing where it's like oh, it's cool to like Twin Peaks. Oh, it's cool to like Evil Dead. Man, I'm gonna be part of that. And like I feel like when you have newcomers kind of come in, obviously open arms, but they kind of come in unless it's like you just saying, unless you're a fan of David Lynch, you're not gonna get when he brings something new to the table. But if you're just a fan of the original like thing he made, you might get lost with it and not
you
really...
will get lost, probably.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I'm gonna say the last thing I want to say, like just about what's cool about cult followings that I actually find, especially with independent scenarios, like Twin Peaks. I feel like was fairly independent for a while, or like became. I feel like he actually became more of an independent thing. Is actually in other pop culture things like video games, just because we've been talking a lot about Twin Peaks, how much influence like independent films can have on video games and other things, especially in the horror and stuff like that. Like Evil Within, Deadly Premonition take huge inspiration from.
It's basically the Twin Peaks video game.
Or
Twin Peaks
Wake.
the video
Did you
game.
ever play Alan Wake?
And when you think about like the big monsters from the Evil Within are like definitely like homages to The Grudge and Jason and like what but the first interpretations of them and stuff like that. Yeah. And then you have like the storylines more Twin Peaksy. So I think it's kind of cool when you have these cult following independent film, or at least when that started out as independent films.
Yeah.
The more pop culture stuff actually refers to those ones, not the more newer like interpretations of them.
Yeah, it really does seem like the originals are the ones that really inspire people to like go out and make their own thing because they saw someone do it and they just want to like accomplish that. Yeah.
Oh, guys. We are unfortunately at the end of this episode. But this has been a great discussion. We've learned a lot about the Blue Room. We've talked a lot about indie flicks and,
Zach Bagans.
The ups and downs of our cult following.
We did
at the beginning.
Did we talk about Zach Bagans?
We did at the beginning.
It just kind of goes
argued
over
his
head.
name.
Boo, Zach Bagans.
Bag and lunch.
Bagging
grab.
Bagging me out.
Bag and Eryn.
No, literally, like just in a bag.
With that being said, we love our cult followings. We love our indie films. I mean, half the reason why we started the podcast is because we wanted to give light to indie films that deserve that light.
Thank you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for coming on and sharing. Doing this with us and having this interview and whatnot. It's been dope. I can't say. I actually think you are like the first like director writer that's come on and has like talked about a film. So you heard it here first. Jesse Livingston, future Steven Spielberg of horror, made his appearance on the punkrockhorrorpodcast.
Yeah. Well, I would just say like anyone out there that wants to do it, you should just do it because it's not as hard as you think. Like I googled a bunch of things like how do you like write a shot list or hold an audition. You can just like learn stuff online. And
the only limitation is yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And that ties into our message of the day at the beginning.
Exactly.
Of the podcast.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
As long as it doesn't get anyone else killed.
Or hurt animals.
Definitely animals. With that being said, where can everyone check you guys out, or where do you want people to follow you?
Go ahead.
There you go.
All right. Well,
They already know Eryn's spiel.
Yeah. So we have a Facebook page, which is at the Blue Room Film, and we have blueroomhorrorfilm.com. Those are the best places to go.
And we'll include that in the episode notes. Eryn, do you want to drop your stuff again?
As always, go follow Code 3 Paranormal. We just released a new video a couple weeks ago.
It was a solid video. I watched it. It was good.
It was pretty interesting. We got some good stuff.
Right on.
And we hopefully are going to be going somewhere in Wyoming soon and holding some events this Halloween at the Railroad Museum.
Oh, we got a huge plan for October then.
Yeah,
we can't wait to tell our listeners
super
about
excited about it.
October is going to be great this
We might
year.
have to bring you on for it. It's gonna
Please
be dope.
do.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be dope. And as always, with speaking of spills, our regular spiel, if you want to follow us and keep up with what we're doing, like us, follow us on Facebook, punkrockhorrorpodcast, and on our Twitter at officialphp, and then
On Instagram, punkrockhorrorpodcast, #PHP podcast.
And very quick kind of thing we want to throw in is for our Patreon page, if you would love to consider supporting us and continue helping out with what we're doing, go over to patreon.com/punkrockhorrorpodcast. We are currently doing a redo of our patron rewards of what we want to offer you guys. We're still going to give you great rewards, great things for just supporting us. We're just going to change some things around. That will come within the near future. We just want to give you guys a heads up about that.
Yeah. Also, our website is getting redone this weekend, so we'll have our website should be working with everything and stuff like that. But hopefully, the end of the weekend.
Yeah, we're planning September at the latest as well.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, thank you, ghouls and gals, for tuning in and for listening to us. And podcast over.
Podcast over.
God, I gotta pee.